Welcome to another installment of 5-Minute Tones. On today's video, I want to show you a few different ways. Welcome to another installment of 5-Minute Tones. On today's video, I want to show you a few different ways you can make your delays sound wider in stereo. I'm going to be using the Axe-Fx 3 delay block. For all of these examples, this will work on any fractal product or any modular, multi-effect, or stereo delay pedal that gives you some kind of control over either the modulation or the left and right channel timings on the delay. Let's start with the digital stereo mode on the Axe-Fx. I've turned the master feedback and the mix up. Otherwise, the block is at the default settings on there. And I'm going to be using the Solo 88 lead amp model with my free cab IR. If you want the cab, it's linked in the video description as always. Let's have a listen to what this sounds like. In that setup, we're actually hearing the same delay time on the left and the right channel. So we've got a mono delay, and it's really easy for that to clash with our mono dry signal. And that might be a bit confusing because you're seeing digital stereo under the delay type here. What this refers to on an Axe-Fx or another fractal product is actually what's happening at the input. So when you see stereo, it means it will not sum any incoming stereo signals to mono before processing them. Similarly, the mono effect types will sum any incoming stereo signals to mono before processing them. Just a little note if you're using a fractal product there. So the first thing that we can make use of are the fact that our ears evolved for directionality, meaning they're offset from one another. Like the width of your head means that a sound that, say, comes from the right of you is going to enter your right ear a very small amount of time before it enters your left ear, which is how you know the sound has come from the right. So we could achieve a similar effect in here by setting slightly different delay times on the left and the right channel. In a stereo delay type on the Axe-Fx, we can set the left-right time ratio to something that's not 100. Let's try 98% on there. So when I've got my time at 500 milliseconds, that means my other delay is going to be at 490 milliseconds. So basically a 10 millisecond offset. That's absolutely cooking already. It sounds so much wider and it's not clashing as much with my mono dry signal on there. If you were using a mono effect type in here, like say in channel C, I've got the digital mono, same delay time, same feedback, same mix. There is this right post delay setting over here. So let's say I set this to, 7 milliseconds. Basically anything less than 20 milliseconds will give you a nice wide stereo sound on there where you can't exactly detect the two delays on there. So let's have a listen to this. Both of those methods are really straightforward on the Axe-Fx. In fact, they are on this first page you're greeted when you bring up a delay block on there. So that is a quick and easy way to do that. In fact, a lot of older stereo delay processors would actually just have this baked in. So when you bring up a stereo delay, it's really just giving you a slight delay offset between the left and the right channel. In fact, I think something like the Neural DSP Quad Cortex actually does this by default on its stereo delay type. So it's not exactly a new technique. You can do it like this on the Axe-Fx with a stereo type or a mono type on there. And again, the stereo effect that we're hearing is that slight offset between the left and the right channels. Now, there's other ways to play around with the stereo imaging, and one really powerful and classic one is to flip the phase of one of the channels on the effect. This is what the old TC Electronic 2290 delay does. Now, if we're on the Axe-Fx, we can go to any of these types and just set a phase reverse to none, both left or right. Let's start off with right and make sure you're listening in stereo, because one of the downsides of this particular technique is that if you sum this to mono, you don't hear any delay. The delay sounds on each channel are going to cancel one another out because of this phase offset. But if you are in stereo, this sounds gloriously wide. That is absolutely glorious. Again, the only downside is that if you want to use that summing the outputs to mono, the delays will cancel each other out. In fact, if you were listening to this on, say, your phone that only has a mono output, you might have been going, I don't hear any delay at all. It's because of that phase reverse. Another thing that we can use is to use some delay modulation with a phase offset between the left and the right channel. The way I like to think about this is classic delay line modulation will just change the delay time up and down around a particular center point. If you offset the left channel so that it's going up in time while the right channel is going down in time, you're not going to have as much of a pronounced wobble to the effect. And it will also create those delay time offsets between the left and the right channel that we did manually, either with the left-right time ratio or the delay channel time offset over there. So let's do this. Let's just roll with the stock settings, but I'm going to set the modulation depth to 20%. Note that the phase on this LFO is set to 90 degrees. Let's hear that. Sounds really lovely. That's especially nice with cleaner sounds as well. And you can try a slightly higher rate to get more of a pronounced modulation sound out of that as well. Essentially, though, it's using the same trick we did right at the start, where we just have a slightly different delay time on the left and the right channel there. Another really cool way you can use this is with dual delays. Say if you've got a quarter note delay on one channel and a dotted eighth note delay on the other channel, so dual parallel delays. I did a video a couple of weeks ago diving really deep with dual delays, and shout out to my buddy Simeon Harris, who's an amazing player and sound designer. He suggested taking this dual delay sound and also using the left-right time ratio with it. So when you have the left-right time ratio at 100% and these rhythmically synced delays, you get a really cool pattern that can sound just like a little bit mechanical when you're trying to play lead guitar. So we get this. That's a really cool trick as well. It just takes some of that predictability out of those rhythmically synced delays. I like the really tight rhythmically synced delays when I'm using it as a rhythm guitar effect, but for playing lead, having that left-right time ratio is just a slight offset, changes things up, and, you know, can make it sound a little more loose or organic and maybe just a little less regimented and predictable on there. Anyway, we have gone way over 5 minutes on today's video. Hopefully you can take these ideas and run with them and come up with some delay tones, all of your own, that do sound nice and wide in stereo. And, you know, life is too short not to enjoy playing guitar in stereo. That is my attitude, and I'm going to stick with that one. If you enjoyed this video, you can check out the Patreon or the music that I make with my band Ragdoll. I'll play you all out with this dual delay on here. I'm going to put the pitch detune and the reverb on as well because I like the extra grease. Go and play your guitars and have some fun. I'll see you on the next one.